Melissa May. All right, Brian, so you've seen a lot of different people build momentum in their businesses and maybe not keep the momentum or have seen the momentum slow down. What are some things that you've recognized that would slow someone's momentum?
For me, momentum, you can equate it to sales, but I think it's energy. Before sales come, you have energy and activity. What I do subconsciously is I feel. This is me. Stats and numbers should reinforce what you feel or vice versa, right? Numbers don't lie. But a lot of times that feeling, so to me, the number one reason why people's businesses plateau is a lot of times because they take their foot off the gas. They become casual. They start doing something differently than what they did to get them there. And here's what I mean by that. To me, momentum is energy. Momentum is started by you. It's not started by, it's the lone nut. We saw that was momentum. Momentum is a movement. Like, listen, take everyone out of this room and just give me 5 people that want to go to the wall. Like when I say go to the wall, they want to be focused, they want to be present, and they're willing to run through that brick wall to achieve something. And then tell me how long they're willing to do that. See, everyone can do it for a little bit, right? But then after a little bit, they fatigue or they get their result and they stop doing that. So how to create a movement is the lone nut. You set the standard of your movement and your energy and your dance and your flow, whatever you want to call it. Momentum is very funny. It can work for you or against you. So positive momentum is positive energy. It's moving forward. It's getting people going in the same direction, right? You give me a handful of people with the faith of a mustard seed and we're all driving in the same direction, we can move a mountain. But if you give me 45 people that are casual about it, they're dabbling, they have sometimes energy, sometimes not, we can't even cross the street together because it becomes disjointed and fragmented, so it's pulling against each other. Does that make sense? It's literally fighting against each other, almost like the drama triangle, so there's no momentum carried because the energy is fragmented. Momentum is forward-moving energy going in the same direction by a collective group of people. But it starts with one. Then you identify 3 or 4, and then that creates the wave, and it sets the standard. The minute that that's broken, and it's usually broken by one of those first 5 people, they become casual and content. Their businesses plateau. They stop seeing sales, or engagement would become before sales. So if you were doing a weekly meeting, and the numbers kept going up in the weekly meeting, and then all of a sudden they slowly started dying down, or they became the same number, eventually they're going to go down. But what happens is if you always peel back the onion, something shifted by the one that created. And usually what shifts is their intensity of focus. And I've talked about this with too. Like how many millions of dollars have you made? 7 million motherfucking dollars, okay? There's not a lot of professions in the world that in the next 5 years, people will make $7 million. That is the top 1/2 of 1% of the people in the world. That is awesome. Give her a huge congratulations. Yes, and listen, she did not do it alone. She did not do it alone. And I can trace it back to where it started, but it started with what I just said. Intensity of energy and focus and energy of running through that brick wall no matter what. They didn't even know what they were doing. She knows 10 times more now, but it was her and a group of people, a handful of people. And it created this massive wave that just keeps spilling over, right? If people plateau, what happens is they don't even see themselves starting to create the plateau. It just automatically happens. And so when you're ready for your business to slow down and deteriorate, all you got to do is look at your behavior. Does that make sense? So to me, it's all energy, it's flow, but it can also go backwards. And what happens is that when you start becoming content, casual, you lack belief, you start becoming disillusioned, you start focusing on the wrong things, you start creating negative energy in your business or negative momentum. That's the fragmentation. Because there's 2 things. Once people start having a different priority or becoming comfortable or casual or whatever, they don't see it sometimes. It's the eye of the storm, right? And there's also ways to approach it. I had a mentor tell me this one time. His company did $300 million, second year in business. They were selling gold coins. And he said, I knew my business started plateauing when all the leaders started buying cars and vacations because they weren't doing that the first 2 or 3 years. So they focus on spending their money, not building their money. There's nothing wrong with wanting to spend your money. Don't misunderstand me. But he said, the thing that I didn't do well is I didn't pull up another group of people that didn't have the money to spend and start working with them, and I expected the same thing out of them. I hope that made sense. So, I mean, there's little indicators that you can see, and that's a great coaching lesson, right? When you start seeing that, how do you approach them without shaming them? You know, I used to just come in hard, like I'm a red, and if you weren't a red, I'm hitting you between the eyes. But then you just completely blow them out of your business, right? You know, so there's ways of asking the right questions. Like I used to always say, sometimes you got to trick people into the activity that serves them the most.